Hey, happy Friday and welcome to the Freedom from the Press podcast. My name's Jason Robertson, and I'm here with my partner in crime,
Todd Peterson. Thanks for joining us today, folks. Jason, we have a great hour-packed show today here. We have got to talk Letitia James. And by the way, I'm seeing news that Chris Wray is lined up next, potentially. Got to talk Katie Porter and California Insanity. We have got to talk about so much today, Jason. But what did you want to lead us off with today?
I got to say, as we get going, first of all, last week, sorry, we had some technical stuff. Todd had a family thing come up, and I couldn't track down K-Gun Girl to be on the show. I was like, I need K-Gun Girl to fill in. I don't want to sit here yapping for an hour. She wasn't around, so what are you going to do? But Todd did get to fill in last week on the Wayne Dupree podcast. So for those who got to tune in with us there, that was a super big blast.
You had a blast. Yeah, I guess missing Friday. You wore me out. The Wayne audience wore me out. I had too much fun. I woke up Friday and I was just like, I can't.
But today is going to be a blast. First thing, as we get going to, do us a favor, give us a like, give us a comment, give us a share, helps the show get reach. And this one, we used to say share this with a Democrat member, somebody you don't politically agree with. But I got to say, the more I see this with Democrats, and we'll get into it with Tish James, the more I understand or believe that Democrats really don't want to understand what's going on. So, share it with them if you want, but it's ridiculous. And that's our first story. If you remember, 2 weeks ago, government shutdown, we were talking about Democrats were wanting to give Medicaid money to illegal immigrants. And they were calling us crazy. They were calling us stupid. They were saying all these things. We talked about it on the podcast. We broke it down. Our audience, we did our best job to inform everybody. Now, look at this. Todd, were we right or were we right?
Well, it looks like we were pretty right here. But Jason, just so you know, ABC, it's not that big of a deal. Where are we on that clown meme? Like it's not happening, it's happening a little, and it's a good thing it's happening. ABC reports that emergency Medicaid for undocumented immigrants only made up 0.4% of total Medicaid spending. So only 0.4% went to illegals, Jason. So it happened, but it's not a big deal. That's where we are in the clown meme.
Yeah, I got to say, we talked about it, and my Twitter feed was funny because I would tweet about replying to all these people like, oh, illegals can't get Medicaid. Illegals can't get Medicaid. I'm like, the system's built for them to game so they get paid for Medicaid. And everybody, all the replies, we showed replies on the podcast a couple weeks ago. They're calling you stupid and a conspiracy theorist and, oh, you MAGA T or whatever. Now, ABC, which hopefully even your dummy friends can say, okay, ABC tells the truth. Emergency Medicaid is only 0.5%. Now, a couple things. One, notice they're citing a study from 2022. Two, notice the way they frame 0.5%. Folks, let us know in the chat how much money you think 0.5% is. Because I'm going to tell you in a sec. It's $9 billion. In 2022, $9 billion hard-earned U.S. taxpayer dollars went to pay for illegal immigrants' health care through Medicaid, and it's ridiculous. This week on Wayne's podcast, we were talking about how we can't take care of veterans in this country and how they're shutting down services and redoing things. We see good, hardworking, tax-paying Americans. Everybody's complaining they can't afford their insurance, but we have $9 billion. And like Todd mentioned the meme, if you've ever seen it, where it's like, this isn't happening. This might be happening a little. Okay, this is happening, but it's a good thing. And then how dare you racists for saying this, worried about this happening? Like we're moving down the ladder. Your Democrat friends who for the last 3 weeks were telling you, oh, Republicans are worried about illegals getting Medicaid. Just share with them an ABC article and just say, are you kidding me? This is ABC. They're citing a government study. It is ridiculous.
And this is why the government is shut down, because Democrats not only love this, they wanted to enshrine it in the next spending bill. Whatever they're saying out there is a lie. Democrats didn't want to agree with Republicans because Republicans cut out free healthcare, taxpayer-funded healthcare for illegals. That is it. If that weren't the issue, we'd have a government operating right now. And I always say this, Jason, I don't mind a shutdown, but I do feel bad because it seems like the only people not getting paid during the shutdown are the military service members. I think everybody else is working still. I go to the post office, it's still open. Congress is still getting paid. No essential services have been cut. But it just seems like if you're in the military, you don't get paid. How wrong is that? But it's Democrats' fault. Don't let them lie to you anymore. They shut the government down because they liked that this was happening and they wanted it to be more than 0.4%.
Yeah. And Democrats, even though this comes out, it doesn't get the play. We got guys like John Van Dyke in the chat. Trump admin is corrupt Democrats talking about how Comey was a Republican. Thanks for tuning in, John. Stick in. You were somebody who was arguing with your MAGA neighbor saying, oh, illegals can't get health care. There it is, John. What do you got to say about that? Can you use a sentence without Trump in it that explains why we should give $9 billion to illegal immigrants? $9 billion. Come on, John. Like, use your brain.
John knows how to get me off track here. Did you know that he was a Republican? Yeah, he was a Republican like Mitt Romney and John McCain and George Bush. That kind of Republican, you can keep him. When I say Republican, I hate them as much as I think John probably does because he's brainwashed to think like establishment Republicans are evil here. No. You can keep that brand of Republican here. I'm America first all the way, John. Label that whatever you want here. But Comey being a Republican, Comey's an establishment hack. Shows me how clueless you are. John's the kind of guy, by the way, he probably supported Jason and I not getting treatment in hospitals during the pandemic because we didn't comply with every narrative and regime mandate. He would be fine if we didn't get service in a hospital and get treated in a hospital. Jimmy Kimmel once said, let him die. But he wants illegals to get free health care. That's how insane and upside down John's world is there. He wants you and I, Jason, regular Americans, to not get treated, but he wants illegals to get to the front of the line. Spare us all, John.
Yeah, and I got to say, the chat's hopping, especially over on the Facebook. We got to get some of these folks over to the Rumble channel. Rumble's always popping, but and just so you guys know, today we're going to do about a half hour or so on the Facebook, on the YouTube, and then we're going to go Rumble only. Todd, do you want to explain what Rumble is too, since some people might not know?
Well, I think our audience has gathered that, Jason, you and I have some spicy, although I don't think it's spicy anymore. I think in 5 years, we'll rewatch the show and be like, gosh, that was really tame. The things that we'll be saying in 5 years will be spicy. But big tech, Facebook, they don't like what we have to say right now. They don't like it when we say illegals shouldn't get health care. That's too edgy for Facebook. You're supposed to want to give illegals health care. You're supposed to support endless wars overseas here. So we can't say everything that we want to say. And we're going to do a clip today of Fuentes. We might get shadow banned just for name dropping him on the old Facebook here. But if you go to rumble.com, you don't get censored. You can speak freely. You can speak truths that the American people need to hear. Go to rumble.com. You can search out our channel. We are the American Tribune. Our podcast name is Freedom from the Press. We are live right now. So if you go to rumble.com, look for the American Tribune. You should see us in the live podcast banner somewhere. But become a member today. It's free to sign up. Just like the page, like the channel, follow the channel here. And you can see our chat as well. The Rumble chat is always hopping. We got Paul in the chat. We got Kagan Girl in the chat. We always have Kagan Girl first in the chat here. Francis is with us today. But go to rumble.com, look for the American Tribune, folks. And we do a Rumble-only part of the show as well. Because like I said, big tech, Facebook, YouTube, they don't like these opinions. They don't like conservative Americans.
Now speaking of juicy news, Todd, should we get into Tish James?
Letitia James. Jason, I remember that no one was above the law. I remember when Letitia James said it's the wealthy when they commit mortgage fraud. It affects the hardworking. You know, the hardworking Americans that follow the law, they're affected by this. Donald Trump needs to be held accountable. Turns out, folks, while Donald Trump was squeaky clean, he took out a loan. The bank agreed to the loan. He paid back the loan. Both parties were content. Didn't stop Letitia James from bringing him to court, though. But now Letitia James blatantly lied. Jason, this is a slam dunk case. She blatantly lied about a property she was taking out a loan for, classified it as a primary to get a better interest rate. She had every intention of using it as an investment property. And by the way, I don't know about you, Jason. I don't know what her salary is, but I also don't know that her salary can support five properties, folks, that Letitia James owns. Lied about that, by the way. She said she only had 4. So out and out blatant, it is mortgage fraud night and day. It could not be any more clear. And Jason, CNN covered this, and you would think someone had died. It was somber. They were scared of what this means. They had to report that Letitia James got indicted by a federal jury here, but they didn't like to do it one bit.
No. Now, should we start maybe playing some of the Letitia James, what she was saying? And now just for a time warp, back a couple of years ago, Letitia James campaigned on I'm going to get Donald Trump. That was all she wanted. That was her entire campaign, right? And then Letitia James went after Donald Trump because on some form that the bank didn't use for his loan on a property, he undervalued the property. The bank testified, we don't use that form. We do our own appraisal. We set terms. He paid us back. We made money. Everybody was happy. And she still went after him. And then when she won, when she got convicted of this mortgage fraud, she celebrated her Twitter feed every day. And it was like a $500 million judgment. That was ridiculous. It got to the appeals court. They railed on her and her attorneys for even going after Donald Trump. Like, how could you even, this case should not have even been brought. They railed on the judge. How did you let this case be seen in your courtroom? But Letitia James had dug in pretty hard, kind of like a tick on a dog, Todd.
Yeah, it's also worth reminding, Jason, she campaigned on going after Donald Trump. That was her campaign slogan. I will go after Donald Trump. Now, she didn't say Donald Trump has committed crimes and I'm going to investigate them and hold him accountable. She simply said, I'm going to get Donald Trump. I will make something up if it just means I'll get Donald Trump and appease this TDS-affected base that is the entire Democrat Party nowadays. Before we get to Letitia, though, I just want to say, Julie, thank you for catching a snippet of the show. Thank you for commenting. It helps us in the algorithm here. Julie does not want us on her Facebook. But, Julie, I would encourage you to stick around just for a little bit. You will find out Letitia James is a complete fraud. Donald Trump was innocent here. The America First movement is the way you want to go. The MAGA tent is big enough for everybody. So we encourage you, Julie, to join our side here. Join us on the side of truth a little bit. No, we will not stay off your Facebook. We're here, Julie. We're spreading the truth. We're spreading the news.
Absolutely. All right, should
Donald
we hear
Trump
this?
and the other defendants have committed persistent and repeated fraud. Last week, we proved that in our motion for summary judgment. Today, we will prove our other claims. My message is simple. No matter how powerful you are, no matter how much money you think you may have, no one is above the law. And it is my responsibility and my duty and my job to enforce it. The President of these United States is not above the law.
How do you like my garbage truck?
She seems pretty clear, Todd. Mortgage fraud, huge crime. Nobody's above the law. I mean, she's pretty much spelling it out, right?
Yeah, mortgage fraud is bad. That's what I took away from Letitia James here. Mortgage fraud is very bad. No matter what your station is in politics, you're not above the law. She made that pretty clear as well. So now Letitia James has a high office, committed mortgage fraud. It would seem, Jason, only fair if we're playing by her rules that we would go after this a little bit.
Yeah, and I got to say, so when I heard this was breaking, the first thing I did is I went to look at reactions. I follow lawyers on the right and the left. And, you know, the right lawyers on the right were like, okay, they're going after, this is great. Lawyers on the left is like, oh, this is stupid. I can't believe they do that, blah, 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 blah. Then the documents get released like an hour or two later. And I always go read them before I read people's takes on them. It was a short document. Todd broke it down. In 2020, I believe, was the year. Don't quote me on that. She bought a second house. When she bought that house, when you're doing your loan application, you have to mark if it's a first house, a second residence, a rental property. Your mortgage rate is determined by that. Now, in her state, in addition to doing that, you have to fill out a second form, an entire form. So you could say, like, oh, I checked the wrong box. But you had to fill out a second form that certified that this was a second house. Like, hey, it's like my cabin. We're from Minnesota. People do that. So it wasn't just some, ooh, I checked the wrong box. And then she tells her insurance company it's her second house so that she gets a better interest rate, better insurance. And then she immediately starts renting it out. and claims the rental income on her tax return. Her only defense is at some point, like 3 years into this deal, there was some email that she let somebody know it was a rental house. But I bought rental properties after the crash. I've talked about it on the show before. It was really hard to get a loan for a rental house. You have to fill out special forms. You got to let them know. You got to talk to your insurance. You have all these things that you need to do. And after they read it, so then I go back and check to see what the lawyers say, because I'm like, I'm a layman. This seems pretty bad. And it ended up, they put a dollar amount on it of like $19,000. And that was only one of her properties. Sounds like she has like 4 more they're going to be adding on. And I'm reading these lefty lawyers and go, I stand corrected. Letitia's cooked. Like, you can't say, hey, this is going to be a rental house or this is going to be a second residence and use it for rental house. Like, that probably breaks about 6 other laws in addition to mortgage fraud and insurance fraud. She's cooked.
Her defense will be clerical error. But Jason, like you just laid out, this is not a clerical error. This was willful intent to deceive in order to get better rates. And she lied about it. And anyone that complains, somehow people just, not somehow, I know how the Dems forget everything because they don't think for themselves. They don't remember. They don't have to. They just wait for their programming that day. They're going to be like, this is lawfare. Trump has weaponized the government. Just show them a mugshot of Donald Trump. Just show them a mugshot of Donald Trump.
Yeah. And it's just hysterical to see all these folks, including Letitia, that were celebrating going after Donald Trump. And the Donald Trump case, and here's what's funny. I can't remember who it was. I was reading one of the lawyer guys, and they're like, the important thing to notice is Trump is going after these people because you had, what's his name? Comey this week that finally got arraigned. You got Letitia James. Hopefully, it sounds like you're going to get Chris Ray
under investigation.
In the comments, I think K-Gun Girl hoping Adam Schiff is next. If you notice, anytime they went after Donald Trump, and we covered it all in the old podcasts, as it was happening, we're going to take this statute that's never been applied in this way before, and we're going to try to apply it to Trump, or we're going to dig up some law from 200 years ago. And they use the code word in the legal things like novel legal theory, which means this has never been done before. We're going to see if it sticks. Now, with all these Trump charges, if you notice, go find the Letitia James actual thing. It's 4 pages, simple read, wrote in plain English. It's like, you said it was a rental. You said it was a second home. It was a rental. You benefited $18,000 from that. Have a nice day. There is no obscure, how do we twist the law to go after everybody? I love it, Todd.
I was just going to say, before I do though, Jason, Market Zero from the Wayne Dupree show. I was filling in for Wayne last week. Market Zero has made it over to Freedom from the Press. Welcome aboard, sir. Glad to have you here.
Mark's always got great takes. We love it. And we got Dee. The gang's all here over on the Rumble.
Cheryl saying, where are the handcuffs and mugshots? That's been my thing, Jason. My little soapbox is here. I don't want any more Fox News appearances. Noam goes on there. Bondi, Cash, they all go on Fox News and they say, we're going to do this huge thing here. And I'm over it. I'm with you, Cheryl. No more talking. Just go do it. Don't tell me you're laying the groundwork. Don't tell me you're going to do it next month. Don't even go on there. Just do it. So I'm with you on that, Cheryl. But I think it's worth pointing out, Jason.
I famously have my government gangsters. I got the autograph book from Cash. Cash, we want them locked up. And actually, I'm going to tell you, folks, especially the Facebook folks, get over to the Rumble only. We're going to do about a half hour here. Hop over to Rumble. Todd's got some funeral stuff he's got to get done today. Not his funeral, thank God. But in that, we're going to talk about, the level of aggressiveness we want to see from Trump and why it's important, because I think that's critical for us all to understand.
Absolutely. I'm going to put a pin in this, Jason. Then we got to get to CNN's reaction because, folks, right now, I just want you to think about how would CNN cover the news that Letitia James got indicted? Think about that. And then we're going to play 2 clips for you here. Always worth remembering, when they went after Donald Trump, when they went after Trump's lawyers, there was no law broken. It was motivated first by, I want to get him. Now I'm going to make up a reason to get him. This is not apples to apples when Trump now does this to Comey, does it to Letitia James, hopefully does it to every swamp rat that has sold their soul to the devil in D.C. It's because they committed a crime first, and Donald Trump is now holding them accountable for committing that crime. So it's not, well, they did it, so he's doing it. That's not how this works. They made up stuff to get their political opponents. That is weaponization of the government here. Donald Trump is holding these people accountable. He said he would on the campaign trail. We voted for Donald Trump to do exactly this here. So don't let your Dem friends, your brainwashed, boosted, masked up Dem friends that still wear masks, driving alone in their car, don't let them get away with that stuff like tit for tat. This is not tit for tat. It needs to happen, but it is not the same.
You know, and Todd, before we play that clip, I just want to address David over on the Facebook. Why is Trump not a registered sex offender? David, you're going to find this hard to believe. Donald Trump has never been convicted of a sex crime. That's why he's not a registered sex offender. I know you're going to find that shocking.
And I love to see the X comments. We don't get a lot of those, but Stelero is just making up words. I don't know what you're trying to say, bud.
I think Solero is saying they're getting throttled on X and they lost their verified. That's no good.
No good.
All right.
We got to
see what CNN had to say, Todd.
For a second, what Tish James, and again, we're still getting
let's do this one first.
Kristen, I understand we have some legal breaking news.
Yeah, we have just learned that New York Attorney General Letitia James, who obviously brought the charges and won against President Donald Trump, has just been indicted by the Department of Justice. This was a case that President Trump wanted to be brought. It's a mortgage fraud case, and it's also what led to the leaving of the U.S. Attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia. Eric Siebert would not bring these charges. We heard he had reservations about bringing these charges, and instead he left that position, and President Trump handpicked Lindsay Halligan to serve as the U.S. attorney in that district.
Like I said, quite somber news. They're fighting back tears, I imagine, very distraught that one of theirs has been charged by Donald Trump. Let's continue, though, and then we can talk.
For a second, what Tish James, and again, we're still getting the details, but if it's related to this mortgage issue, I mean, this is something that everyone in America, or many people at least, if you're lucky enough to be able to buy a house in America, you deal with this, right? The federal government doesn't go after all of these people for doing this. Does that?
I love that.
So, yeah, Tish broke the law, and but everybody does it. And even though these same people were out here screeching about how it was great they went after Donald Trump for some mortgage thing, even though what he did was perfectly legal and the bank said it was okay, and now Tish, who verifiably broke the law, look at the documents. I don't know if she'll be convicted, but she verifiably broke the law. But everybody does it. It's okay. Like, I want the SWAT team. I want the FBI to show up, drag Letitia's big booty into jail, get the mugshot. Let's get this going, Todd.
Yeah, it's so... I don't know what to say other than it's so stupid. Like, yes, we support Donald Trump, but we're not like blindly supportive of Donald Trump. I can still separate my thought. Like, yeah, he should go after her. But as a Democrat, don't you look back and say, like, were we saying that everybody commits mortgage fraud when she was going after Donald Trump for mortgage fraud? Of course not. The Dem narrative was like, Donald Trump's the worst person ever and he needs to be held accountable for mortgage fraud. And suddenly, because it's their guy, they're like, well, everybody does it. Everybody does it. Where was that logic when Donald Trump was getting charged by this same vile woman right here? They simply can't do it. They simply can't.
Yeah, and it's just funny because, you know, we got a couple Dem trolls, especially the Facebook chat. Still a lot of Dems over on the Facebook. Not a lot go to Rumble, Todd, which is kind of funny. But, like, folks really, like, it's like they take that computer chip out. Like, 2 years ago when Letitia was going after Trump for some mortgage thing, and you even show him like, well, what he did was legal. The bank said they don't, like, it's not a thing, like all that. Well, there's this novel legal theory, and we're going to celebrate when he's convicted. And now you got Letitia James being charged doing the same, a similar thing, and it's cut and dry. Like, you look at this. I mean, I was looking at the exhibits, and it's like a special form you hand fill out that says, is this a second residence? And you got to fill out all the stuff. It's not even like, oh, I didn't know. And she's like, she does law stuff, right, folks? This isn't like she she's some Yahoo like me who bought a rental property who could be like, I guess I did that wrong. I mean, she's a lawyer. She went to law school. She prosecutes people. It is insane, but nobody is above the law.
Yeah, I was trying to do a little research here. So Steven's over on the Facebook saying, can't wait for Letitia to be fined $500 million. Who's with me? So what was Trump's loan that he took out, Jason? I can't find this doing a quick Google search. So he was fined $500 million, but what was the value of the loan? I'm trying to figure out, like, how big of a fine was it relative to the loan amount? So Letitia took out a loan of just $100,000.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out what would be fair math for Letitia. But I got to be honest. She only took out a loan for $100K, made about $19,000, let's say, on it. Like, faces 30 years, will not face 30,000, won't face 30 years. I wish she would. I wish she would face the maximum for this to set an example. Trump's prosecution just be like, here's the book. But I don't know. I don't think the numbers are going to justify anything that they're going to get away with. But whatever it is, I'm fine with $500 million for a fine.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, and Trump actually, I mean, we'll get into the legal minutia. Letitia is being criminally prosecuted. Trump was essentially civilly prosecuted, where she sued him on behalf of the state of New York for defrauding people. So it's kind of legal mumbo jumbo, but the burden of proof is significantly lower for what Letitia went after Trump for. The reason was she knew she couldn't get a criminal conviction. And even her civil case, how it's supposed to work is when you bring a civil case and it's silly, where you're suing somebody for money, the judge should say, this is silly, I'm not even going to hear this case. The judge didn't. So a jury of New Yorkers said, you're right, Donald Trump gets fined. And then the appeals case, which is kind of one of the safeguards, said, no, we can't let this stand.
As an aside, Jason, just yet another example of why trial by jury is basically dead in America. I bet if that same jury had Letitia James in front of them and the Trump case or the prosecutors bring forward this irrefutable evidence that she committed fraud, they would be like, but I like her, so I'm not going to convict. That's where we're at with juries in America. I don't like Trump, so he's guilty. I do like Letitia, so she's innocent. Voting, juries, Jason, a lot of these things that make democracy great, they're ruining democracy in real time.
Yeah, and for older people like me, I think the real point where I realized how crazy it was the OJ case. And you saw the jurors and people watching just flat out saying, like, we ain't going to convict OJ. And, because he's a black guy. And
Rodney King.
We lived through the Derek Chauvin trial in Minnesota, where they were bringing the jurors through all these violent protesters every day. There was no way he was going to be convicted. So, yeah, jury trial are going to be an interesting thing.
And I just all right. Zero says, with the loan Trump did, the bank got their money back, wanted to do more business. Yeah, we made the same point. Like, just as an outsider, if you're not politically partisan, you just have a brain you can use. You look at the whole Trump thing that Letitia James brought, and it's just like, none of this is relevant. Like, there was no victims in this crime, but Letitia James made it up. Yeah, we have Facebook got a little spicy. I don't know if we can pop up some of those comments.
Yeah, we can't pop up some of these. These might be Rumble only, folks. We got to get them over there. I got to say, too, Strillo, who's following over on the Twitter, thanks for silencing me. I don't think I silenced anybody, Strillo. I haven't had a chance to look. We're doing a live show, but I'll check out your Twitter feed. You can drop me a DM, too, so I can see if there's some posts that you had that you want me to take a look at. So, all right.
Before we, folks, sorry, we do have an abbreviated show. I have some family affairs that are wrapping up this weekend, but I wanted to talk about Katie Porter. Katie Porter, I didn't have time today to go through some previous clips. I think we've actually played clips of her before on our Facebook pages when we do videos, Jason. This woman's insane. This is a vile, disgusting human being. And for every Democrat out there that is like, well, I vote Democrat, but I don't support this, I just have to fact check you and say, yes, you absolutely support this. You voting Democrat condones all of this behavior. But what a wild week with some of these clips, Jason. So, folks, we got 3 clips for you here. One is where she curses out one of her staffers. And if you've got small children in the room, you might want to mute for a second or put some earmuffs on them because it's going to get pretty awful. We got another clip where she storms out of an interview because she didn't like a follow-up question getting asked. Like, who do you think you are? You're asking me a follow-up question. I'm Katie Porter. I'm going to win. I don't need to answer any questions or tell you why you should vote for me. And then the last one, Jason, which I think we'll kind of save for Rumble, she defends perhaps one of the most awful things an adult human being could ever do to a child. She defends it as an identity. I'll leave it at that for now.
Yeah, and Katie Porter, for those who don't know, was in the House of Representatives for the Democrats. She was famous because she'd always have her little dry erase board up. And she's running. She is the leading candidate to replace Gavin Newsom as governor of California, for those who haven't heard of her. And when you watch this, tell me if you've ever worked with that person. And I'll guarantee you've walked into the HR office at some point in your career and you've dealt with a woman like this.
I was going to say HR. Yep. All right, let's do this. Here's the first one first. If there are small kids, just be warned that there is some language here.
Lose. Get out of my fucking shot.
I wanted to tell you that that's actually incorrect. It's not that it's electric vehicles. It's that if we don't meet the commitments under the Paris Climate Accord.
Okay, it does. Okay, you also were in my shot before that. Stay out of my shot. Stay.
So she's doing a little interview there. Staffer comes up to correct her, as I imagine her job is, to be like, hey, Katie, I'm here to help you. Sound intelligent and not stupid like you always do. Immediately just drops the F-bomb on her like you saw here. Is this a healthy working environment, Jason? Like you mentioned HR before. Like, is there HR for congressional interns that get berated by their congresswoman?
Yeah, fun facts on Katie Porter too. When she was in the House, she had one of, if not the highest, like intern staffing coverage anywhere. And this is just funny. Like Todd and I do low budget podcast broadcasts. I mean, she's sitting in her kitchen, probably with her laptop. Yeah. Like you're going to scream at somebody. Like my wife might walk through. Jen Robb from Minnesota. I got my dogs in here. I mean, like, come on, Katie, give me a break.
I mean, what an ugly house. I don't want to say it's an ugly house here, but nothing fancy. Maybe she's going for the man of the people look right there. But like, that's your backdrop. Like, you've already lost the interview, like trying to look good. If that is the backdrop you chose, like they couldn't even do like a green screen. Couldn't put her somewhere pretty, just a cluttered, messy kitchen. But now she's concerned. Also, by the way, the intern that walked by was wearing a mask. So you have your masked up intern walking by to be like, excuse me, Congresswoman, you are completely wrong about what you're saying.
Right.
But I do have to point out, Jason, well, then she took the mask down later on, like they always do. This is also one of those things I don't think people appreciate. They always watch these clips and they're like, wow, that person's so smart. They're so good with words. They just seamlessly talk. Just another reminder that it takes a lot of effort for them to put together these segments. Jason and I go live every Friday. We have a great time doing it with it. There's no pauses. There's no redos. If Jason and I get it wrong, like we're just stuck live with errors. But she is filming, taping, editing, redoing segments so it sounds just like they want to. Again, it's all scripted for you. Everything they do is scripted.
Ooh, I got to say, too, Dee Dee brings up a great question over on the Rumble. Does California use Dominion? There was Dominion news this week that didn't make a lot of news. We'll talk about it on Rumble only. But how's that for foreshadowing? All right, should we see the other Katie Porter clip? And then do we play Katie Porter and then do the outro and switch over to Rumble only, Todd?
I think so. That might be a good time to do it, Jason.
All right, so Facebook, YouTube, thank you guys for tuning in. We will be back on these pages again next Friday. Same time, same channel. We're going to play a Katie Porter. We're going to get out on those. We'll be over at Rumble only. We got another half hour or so over on Rumble. And just so you know, on Monday, we're going to have Will Tanner with us, one of our business partners. We're going to talk about Columbus on Columbus Day. It is no longer, thanks to President Trump, Columbus Day is back. And we're going to do a special episode. Will specializes in history. And we're going to do a special Monday episode talking about Columbus. So let's hear awful Katie Porter.
Before we say goodbye to our Facebook audience, though, I just want to cheers them with my mug of Split Rock Coffee. SplitRockCoffee.com. Use promo code TOD10, folks. If you want to support a disabled veteran-owned coffee company right here in Minnesota, where Jason and I broadcast from, we all share the same pain from living under Tim Walz's tyranny. If you want to support, though, a disabled veteran-owned coffee company, it's the real deal. They make delicious coffee, tons of options on their website, SplitRockCoffee.com. Use promo code TOD10, subscribe, and save today.
Oh, yeah, indeed. And they were asking what time. So we're going to do the Columbus one, and we're going to do it probably same time, like 10 o'clock. But that one, anytime you talk about things that aren't the official narrative, we can't do them on Facebook, YouTube. They'll just nuke the page or the channel. So that one will be Rumble, Twitter only. It's going to be a blast for those who've read Will's Substack. So, all right, let's play Katie Porter and get out of here. Katie Porter.
Katie Porker, Jason, just to correct you there.
You say to the 40% of California voters who you'll need in order to win, who voted for Trump?
How would I need them in order to win, man?
Well, unless you think you're going to get 60% of the vote. You think you'll get 60%. Everybody who did not vote for Trump will vote for you. That's what you're saying.
In a general election, yes. If it is me versus a Republican, I think that I will win the people who did not vote for Trump.
What if it's you versus another Democrat?
I don't intend that to be the case.
So how do you not intend that to be the case? Are you going to ask them not to run?
No, I'm saying I'm going to build the support. I have the support already in terms of name recognition. And so I'm going to do the very best I can to make sure that we get through this primary in a really strong position. But let me be clear with you. I represented Orange County. I represented a purple area. I have stood on my own 2 feet and won Republican votes before. That's not something every candidate in this race can say. If you're from a deep blue area, if you're from LA or you're from Oakland, you don't have an experience.
But you just said you don't need those Trump voters.
Well, you asked me if I needed them to win.
So you don't
I
think
feel like this is unnecessarily argumentative. What is your question?
The question is the same thing I asked everybody, that this is being called the empowering voters to stop Trump's power grab. Every other candidate has answered this question. This is not
correct. And I said I support it.
So, and the question is, what do you say to the 40% of voters who voted for Trump?
Oh, I'm happy to say that. It's the do you need them to win part that I don't understand. I'm happy to answer the question as you have it written, and I'll answer it.
And we've also asked the other candidates, do you think you need any of those 40% of California voters to win? And you're saying, no, you don't.
No, I'm saying I'm going to try to win every vote I can. And what I'm saying to you is that...
Well, to those voters, okay, so you...
I don't want to keep doing this. I'm going to call it. Okay. Thank you.
You're not going to do the interview with us?
Nope, not like this. I'm not. Not with 7 follow-ups to every single question you ask.
Every other candidate has answered.
I don't care. I don't care. I want to have a pleasant, positive conversation in which you ask me about every issue on this list. And if every question you're going to make up a follow-up question, then we're never going to get there.
Ms.
And
Porter,
we're just going to circle around.
I am an investigative
I have never
reporter.
had to do this before, ever.
You've never had to have a conversation with
to end
a
an
reporter?
interview.
Okay, but every other candidate has done this.
What part of, I'm me, I'm running for governor because I'm a leader. So I am going to make...
So you're not going to answer questions from reporters? Okay, why don't we go through? I will continue to ask follow-up questions because that's my job as a journalist, but I will go through and ask these, and if you don't want to answer, you don't want to answer.